Okay, hello, welcome back to my my war videos, my second war video now. This time I have remembered to get all my fights in, and I also have some audio, which is excellent. So I like this war. It caused me to think differently about certain things and come up with some interesting strategies. But that comes later. To start with, I have some relatively easy fights. I'm on Path 3 in Section 1, and I have some Mystic Defenders, and I'm using Torch, because we appear to be entering into a meta where Torch is not banned every war like he was before, which is great. So I've got a, as you'll see in a moment, I've got a Mephisto and a Longshot on some relatively easy nodes. So I'm just boosting up here. Mephisto on this first fight, it's fine really. You need to use Torch's pre-fight because he is immune to Torch's incinerates. To make it a quick and easy fight, you want to do that. The only thing that was sort of bothering me slightly is that this node gives him charges every 10 hits. I start getting he starts putting armors on him, and I start getting shocked from those armors. And of course, I'm always a little worried about power gain when it comes to fighting any mystics in war. So at this point I think I'm chucking on an invul boost. Oh no, I'm not. I'm sticking an advanced power boost because I think I'll probably be fine. Only thing to worry about here potentially is these shocks, but I have it somewhere. I remember being told that the shocks, they're basically fine. It doesn't do much damage and you can out damage with willpower. So missed both my parries starting off because I'm an excellent player. Start hitting him a few more times. Got an aura, so I'm kind of taking it slightly slow. Of course he throws his SB1, takes a load of damage from Power Sting. Nothing to worry about here at all. Keeping it reasonably, there's the shock, it's doing nothing. I'm trying to keep it reasonably cautious, so I'm not attacking him, I'm just waiting. And yeah, the fight's over with the SB2. So nice and easy. Of course this means I have used my pre-fight, and of course I would ideally use that elsewhere. But now we have the Longshot. Again, a kind of nothing node. It would be, in my opinion, this node is quite a good one for the global defenders because it gives them armors after special attacks, and they could potentially catch people out. But they've just gone for Longshot, and that's fine because it's power focus too. But not really an issue for Torch because he's Incinerate immune, so Longshot's SB2 does nothing. Again, trying to play classic Torch stuff, medium light medium. Push him to SB2, and at that point I back off because I'm scared of missing dispersion. But he throws it. I evade the end. I don't punish it just in case of a parry. Always got to be careful. More medium like mediums, and of course he's melting. So there's his armor up. You see how a global defender, that could be an issue if someone isn't paying attention, and then they go unstoppable. But not a problem here. Throw the SB3, and if this doesn't finish him, as good as does finish him. So here we go on Mordon 23. I make some pretty bad errors about node 23, but I think to myself, oh, this is fine. I've got the White Mags pre-fight. I've got invulnerable boost. I can just parry him. I know he's got the power gain, but I throw on an extra 33% Mystic boost, SB3 boost just in case. I lose my invulnerability, and I think, yeah, this should be alright. Missed my first parry again because I'm an amazing player. Now, your standard way to do this is, at least for me, is medium light medium. I know you can do light medium, but I prefer to do it this way. Gains his first power gain, and I just think that's fine. I just follow him to the back and let him get to SB2 and throw it, which sort of luckily he does. And I punish with medium light, back off and parry. Medium light. This was the game plan going in, but now he gets to there. I throw a heavy, the first hit misses, and then he resists. A classic issue, and there I hit into his block once, try and punish, and because it's the second medium in a row, I get punished and I've lost my vulnerability. Medium light. There I go to medium light medium to try and get rid of some prowess, but of course, I forgot the golden rule on node 23. You want to take it nice and easy in case you want to punish. So back to medium light. At this point, obviously he is melting, so I'm feeling pretty confident, but he starts getting more power. I throw a wild heavy hoping to knock him. I miss. And then here he's almost at an SB3, and he's got a ridiculous amount of prowess, so he throws it, I'm dead. If he doesn't throw it, I'm dead. Luckily he does. So I get out of that one narrowly. If he'd been conservative, I would have been completely screwed there. I'm slightly jittery at this point, so I'm not quite sure why I'm not throwing the SB3. I think I'm just thinking it might not kill him, but now his health is low enough that it does kill him. So again, yes, some pretty bad errors there. Made it through because mortar doesn't hit that hard, and I didn't get hit by a nasty special attack. So yeah, didn't feel brilliant, but it's okay, really. After a hasty cut, we're now onto my final run up to the boss. This is the Rich Get Richer node in Section 2. Only one fight, and it's Venom, and I'm using CGR. I absolutely love CGR here, and just in general. He's probably my favourite champ. Venom is a tricksy one because he's a global, and he can start with an armor up from his Clintar thing. So you've got to be careful of that. Here I'm being very... Ever his Clintar buff refreshes, but I'm also following the global. Now here I can't bait anything for the life of me. Punisher heavy there, managed to block just in time, and he throws his SP2. My aim here is to throw my SP1, strip him of all his buffs to stop his power gain and to stop the global, and then the power gain is mine. Bait out this SP1, don't mess around, throw an SP2, no fancy heavy cancels, anything, it completely nukes him. And then I use my SP3 and yeah, the fight's over. So started out a bit rough, but again, if you play carefully and watch out for both timers, the global timer and the Clintar buff timer, Venom isn't too bad. But I'm sure that fight can get hairy, but CGR can deal with it. So that's CGR done, and now we get on to, in my opinion, the really interesting fights, which is a Mangog on the kind of upper left-hand mini, which is the increased power gain, enhanced special to aspect of evolution fight. Okay, so I want to go through the strategy here for Mangog here in some detail before we jump into the fight. So the thing that's really dangerous here about Mangog is that if he throws an SP2, well, there are two things. First of all, if he throws an SP2, you are probably dead because it's completely unblockable, it's got extra attack, and even if you have an invul boost, you are just toast. So the aim of the game is to stop him from doing that. Now, ideally, you also want to stop Mangog from throwing that many SP1s because it builds his hatred charges, and that going to make him unstoppable later, and you can only counter that by having a special ready to sort of counter his attack with, and that's all pretty rough. So, like I said, the name of the game is to stop him from getting as much power as possible. Ideally, I would have the anti-venom synergy, but I don't. So we've got to work without that. So there are two ways in which champions gain power. One is combat power rate, which is the power they get just from hitting or getting hit, and the other is ability power rate, which is the power they get from, let's say, any kind of power gain effect, Mystic Dispersion, power gain buffs, or stuff like Mangog's natural power gain. So let's deal with the first one first. So to help us out, Mangog has reduced 40% combat power rate, which is very useful. And now the next thing we can do here is use the Mr. Fantastic debuff Suppress, which my friend Giggsy applied on this fight, which reduces his combat power rate by 25%, which means that's down to 65. And the next part of the puzzle is the Petrify Mastery. Now, the thing to understand about the Petrify Mastery is that it doesn't actually do the same thing as the Petrify debuff in-game. The game is a bit wrong in its terminology here, or at least confusing. So the Petrify Mastery reduces combat power rate when you've got 3 out of 3 by 30%, when they are stunned. So what this means is that every time you hit Mangog when he's stunned, he's got minus 95% power gain, combat power gain in this setup. Now, of course, the other thing to bear in mind is it's not just combat power, it is ability power. He gains 5% naturally, and the node doubles that to 10%. And we can go back to Mr. Fantastic here. The Mr. Fantastic Petrify is going to reduce that by 40%. So 10% by 40% reduces that by 10 seconds. And Spidey himself can do the rest with the exhaustion from his heavy attack, because each exhaustion, maximum of 5, reduces ability power rate by 15%. So you need at least 4, and when you have 4, he has sort of 0% power rate that he can't gain any power from his own abilities. So what this really means is that when you have the Petrify Mastery, you can kind of turn this into a parry-heavy fight. So that's enough of the strategy. That's enough of the talking on that. Let's jump into the video. Okay, so here I'm just switching up my boosts. Obviously, I want to have the science combat boosts. I also I cut it out, but I also put on full suicides. And as I'll say during the fight, I think that was a mistake. If I were to do this fight again, I would do so with no suicides, because as you'll see, the I take an absolute ton of damage from them. So everything's set up. So as I said, the strategy is basically a parry heavy fight with a power start 1 boost as well. Throw the SP2 to put on the Wither, which is going to reduce power rate even more. And at that point, he should be gaining minimal power at all. This fight goes sort of reasonably well according to plan. Missed my first parry, which is sort of typical. Hit him once, wasn't meant to do. Parry heavy. Gains barely any power from that. You'll see me do it again here. Parry heavy. Gains barely any power. So I'm putting on the... I missed my parry completely. He throws his SP1, which is okay. Global doesn't give him unstoppable. Punish. And then I can throw my SP2. Then he has the Wither. And then the game changes here slightly because you want to do parry heavy still. Put more exhaustions, and also then do some refreshing. So you want to refresh your debuffs, so you want to pause them. You want to pause your debuffs by dashing back. So parry heavy, refresh. Parry heavy, and then pause them. And this way he's all your debuffs run, he's not gaining any power at all. Refresh. Here he got the global, but that's fine, you just play around it. You have enough power to launch a second SP2 and he's basically dead. Here I'm sort of trying to finish him off, so I hit him a few more times, not really part of the plan. Go back to parry heavy, refresh. Oh no, don't refresh, I just keep going. I just try and just finish him off. And yeah, the fight's over. So that seemed pretty simple. Managed to think my way through that one. However, I lost a load of health. As you'll see, it was all basically suicide damage because of course I'm big boosted. So again, I don't think I need that damage. I think the fight was well under control. He was gaining no power from me hitting him, and he was gaining no power from his own abilities. So didn't need to do that at all. That was just a waste of potions. However, the full suicides are extremely useful for the boss fight. Now, as is probably well known, Spidey has this awesome ability where if his opponent has a true strike effect or they have true damage, he takes 75% reduced damage, and the boss just has that. So the suicides do basically no damage to me. I heal from them, and I do loads of damage to him, obviously, because I've got all the buffs that come from those masteries. So the plan here is to get off a heavy with a nice easy heavy counter. Now the exhaustion on him means that he can't gain any of his Sasquatch charges. I forget what they're called, like in Rage or something. So he can't do any of the sort of normal Sasquatch stuff. He just becomes a big block of meat to get through. You'll see there the global had to wait it out. Again, same sort of strategy, except here I'm looking to get to an SP3 instead of use my SP2 first. That's what I did in this fight. Doing a bit of refreshing, more parries and a bit more heavies. Sorry, no parries. Heavy counters to get my exhaustion debuffs on him. There I didn't hit him because I was worried about the timer, so I just backed off and waited. And now we get the SP3. The reason we want to use the SP3 is because it has a slow debuff. And of course that's going to basically turn off the global. So if he does get the unstoppable, it will do nothing. And so now, a little bit like in the first one, it becomes a game of weaving in pausing my debuffs and keeping, just putting more on him. Because later down the line I'm worried about me not being able to counter his healing. So I've got max despair and I want to make sure I've got as many debuffs on him as possible. So now that I've got the slow, I'm trying to refresh it every now and again. I'm not doing a brilliant job of refreshing it. If I were to play this fight again, that's where I would improve most, I think. So just trying to work my way up to an SP2 while also trying to put debuffs on him. There I'm close enough that I can counter. Normally, as you'll see in this fight, I'm not countering Sasquatch's SP1 because you might get parried. Launch the SP2, do a ton of damage. Close enough to counter, so go ahead and do that. And the fight's starting to look under control. I only remember about halfway through this fight that if I hit into his block when he has a Wither on him, I put even more debuffs, so you'll start seeing me do that later. But here I'm still weaving in more heavies, putting on more debuffs, and trying to get back to my SP2 so I can do another big load of damage there. The slow debuff from SP3 is still there. I'm doing a reasonably good job of pausing it with those dashbacks, but again I could be doing better. Second SP2 does okay. I don't punish that one because I might get parried. Yeah, and that's kind of all there is to say. So now he's in the second half of the fight, so he's getting his regen, and obviously he has willpower as well, so it's a bit of a struggle to get through that. We do have enough damage to get through it, but the fight takes quite a long time. So I think here I remember, oh there we go, all those ruptures on him, so help reduce his healing. Another heavy, to get another exhaustion. And as you'll see, my health is basically still full. That's the power of Spidey against the boss. Here I can see that my slow debuff's starting to fall off, and I really don't want to get caught out by the global, even though I'll probably be fine, just because you have so much reduced damage. So I decide to, instead of trying to close out the fight with an SP2, I think that's fine, I'll play it long, I'll play it slow, and I'll literally, and I'll go to the SP3. So hit him a few more times, get to SP3, refresh, and then chuck it. So again, all pretty slow. I think I've used like 3 minutes here. I could definitely do this fight quicker, but again, I was first time doing it, first time using Spardian War, I should say. So I'm still not massively comfortable, and just wanted to make sure I had it totally under control. Put more ruptures on him. Might well do a heavy counter. No, I don't. I just keep hitting him. So at this point, I can see that I'm clearly out damaging the regen. It's just a question of getting to the next SB2. Here he goes for an SB2 himself. I know that I can heavy counter that, so I do. No particular reason, but it was a nice thing to do. Getting more ruptures on him, etc, reducing the healing. Nice little intercept there, as Dreamer would say. SB2 basically finishes him, and I finish him off here. Now, unfortunately, we do lose this war, as you can see here. We had a very rough run. We had a lot of issues, timing issues, crashing. We had some people, struggle with the global, and some really, really tough fights. So, yeah, unfortunately, well, congrats to Savage Squad. They did better than us. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, that's what it's going to do for this one. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta.